Good evening. This hearing is to be conducted pursuant to Section 10-22.13 of the Illinois School Code. The hearing will begin with a presentation from our admin on the issues confronting us. Thereafter, we will open up to hearing to public comments. Comments shall be submitted to the board president or the board recording secretary before this meeting is called to order. At this time, we have 26 public comments. Comments will be taken in sequence as they were submitted. Guidelines for the public comment. We understand the importance of the topic before us. We greatly value and welcome your comments. Your opinions are essential to the decision-making process. Our goal is to ensure that all voices are heard in a respectful and orderly manner. We have a 2 hours for this meeting. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to share their comments. To ensure equitable access, any public comment requiring Spanish interpretation, you will have a time limit of 6 minutes to account for the time needed for interpretation. When you come to the podium, please state your name. All comments should be directed to the board as a whole, not an individual of the board, board members, administrators, or attendees. Demonstrations such as shouting, cheering, booing, or personal attacks or any other behavior that disrupts this meeting will not be tolerated. We appreciate your cooperation in helping us maintain a constructive environment. We look forward to hearing all your perspectives in a courteous and civil manner. And with that, I turn it over to Dr. Terrell Yarbrough.
All right. Thank you, President Sterling. And good evening again, everyone, and thank you for attending our second public hearing here. We received several questions from last night's meeting, and we would like to address the key themes that we developed that we thought emerged. And so with that being said, Dr. Erb, will you begin?
Maybe.
It is on or no? There we go.
There we go. Thank you. Try that again. Sorry, guys. There we go. Let's try this now. So there were some questions about the class size. Class size limits are set by the collective bargaining agreement. This means that we cannot exceed a specific number for each particular grade, which I have listed at the bottom there. The chart compares today's numbers and ranges against the projected for each of the scenarios. Those are projected, so it could go up to the same as the collective bargaining as what we do now. So that's why, like for scenario 6, it doesn't show any of the classes. It's 26, but it could go up to that number. Scenario 6 and 7 show the least variance between class sizes within a grade level because they are using their buildings and their classroom spaces most efficiently. Kindergarten currently is our most efficient grade level because of the fact it's not spread across multiple sites. The more sites that house a particular grade level, the more unused classes and seats that we create, making it harder to balance one site to another. So that's why you see that currently we have in first grade one classroom that has 14 students and other classrooms that have 25. The more buildings that are involved in a particular grade level creates more inefficiencies. The fewer buildings that are used per grade level allows us to place students more evenly and then maintain a more consistent class sizes between buildings. Sorry guys, it's being jumpy for me. Early childhood. As I previously said with early childhood, scenarios 1, 2, and 6 only have enough room for 2 general early childhood classrooms. I did want to point out some clarification that I felt was a misunderstanding. There is no reduction of life skills or STP classrooms. It's remaining consistent with what we currently have, so one of each of those. Scenario 7 is the only one that allows us to go beyond the 2 classrooms, and it's because of that class size efficiency that I just spoke of. Another thing that came up were the building supports. So this shows our current allocation of interventionists and social workers in each of our buildings. When a school has a similar number of students and a similar socioeconomic makeup, their Title I funding is also similar. So that's why scenario 6 and 7 have very similar amounts of supports in each of their buildings. The larger the differences in the population and the socioeconomic differences, you'll see a greater variance, and that's why you see the difference in our current and scenarios 1 and 2. In regards to social workers, specialized programs help influence the social emotional needs that our buildings have. So if you have a specialized program like STP, Life Skills, or Learning Lab, those buildings receive more social emotional support. Where in these particular scenarios 6 and 7, they have a program in each of the buildings. Again, that's why you see the consistency that you don't see in the other scenarios. There are a few questions in regards to special education, and Heidi Lang and Shannon Rice are going to help go over those. Oops, the mic's not on yet.
Good evening. I'm Heidi Lang, and this is Shannon Rice. I am the Director of Student Support Services, and she is the Assistant Director of Student Support Services. We both oversee special education services and other student supports within our district. Thank you for having us and allowing us to speak with you this evening. Both Shannon and I have been consulted on all the scenarios that have been brought forward. After scenario 7 was presented to the board, we have been talking with and listening to our special education staff about their concerns and questions, as well as now the community members with their concerns and questions. Based off of this feedback, we would like to offer some more information about the proposed scenarios and how these services would be provided. So let's walk through where we're at right now with our scenarios and what that would mean for our students, staff, and our buildings. Our current reality is our STP program is officially maxed out, both in terms of space and capacity at Windsor. We simply cannot grow our program any further in this current location. In some of our buildings that house specialized programs, special education numbers are over and exceed the 30% requirement by the state. Windsor currently is over that 30% threshold, and many classrooms Windsor is currently over that 30% threshold that is required by the state, and we are not able to make any changes to balance those percentages. Our Learning Lab program, which is currently housed at McChesney, does not allow for our grades 1 through 3 to have that general education access because it is in a 4 or 5 building. That limits their exposure to opportunities that all students should be available to have. For example, there are currently students who are showing that they're ready for general education. The current model does not allow for this, and in order for them to have that opportunity, we would have to bus those students to another building. Because of the current student population and grade level spans, we're limited in how and where our services can be delivered. In addition, specialized programs are only in our specific buildings. And this restricts our ability to foster a more inclusive culture district-wide. For example, the current reality is that a student can show a need for a specialized program, and this need results in them having to transfer to a different school, most likely mid-year. This causes an additional transition and disrupts their educational routine. And we're not saying that this couldn't happen in other scenarios, such as scenario 7, but however, it's less likely to occur if our buildings are housed in all of our buildings have specialized programs due to the culture that is created when servicing students with unique and specialized needs. Okay, so let's talk about scenario 1. So scenario 1 doesn't actually solve our core issues, which I just talked about. There will continue to be a lack of exposure to specialized programs in all of our buildings. STP is still housed at Windsor in this scenario. Keeping this location will continue to limit capacity for future expansion and program needs. We'd still have buildings where special education exceeds the 30% threshold within the general education classroom. Early childhood would also not have the ability to expand their general education classrooms due to space constraints. Overall, scenario 1 keeps most of the existing limitations that we just discussed, with the exception of Learning Lab general education access for grades 1 through 3, because they would be moved to Rock Cut. Scenario 2 addresses more of our needs, but it still comes with a big caveat. This scenario requires grades kindergarten through 5th grade, life skills and STP, to be housed together. This results in a high level of need within the building as a whole, with both staff and students having all of the grade levels in one building. We also run into the challenge of maintaining that 30% threshold for special education within the gen ed setting. One of our highlights of specialized programs is that it allows for both life skills and STP to join their general education classroom on a daily basis for activities like morning meetings, specials, and lunch and recess. Due to the size of both programs, access to the general education would be limited in this scenario. Looking at the future of this scenario, there would not be an ability to grow these programs if our enrollment and needs increase. This also includes our EC general education classrooms.
So then moving on to scenario 6, it starts moving us towards a more equitable access. So some things that it offers is that we'd have specialized program exposure in every elementary building, which helps with building a more inclusive mindset. We'd have flexibility to group students by instructional level and expand resource room services when needed. It keeps special education percentages below 30% in general education classrooms, which we had previously talked about with scenarios 1 and 2. That's something that we struggle with. That would be a challenge. It opens general education access for Learning Lab grades 1st through 3rd. The downside is that the scenario does not allow us to expand early childhood general education access for EC special education services. Then finally, as we look at scenario 7, it builds on scenario 6 with one important added benefit. So like scenario 6, it provides specialized program exposure in every elementary building, maintains balanced percentages, and gives us access to general ed for Learning Labs grade 1st through 3rd. But scenario 7 also gives us the potential to expand general education access for early childhood special education services in the future. We hear the community's concerns about the additional transitions, and this is something we're thinking about very intentionally as well. For some context, there was a time when our specialized programs were split by grade bands, which did create an extra transition for students in these programs. While we know that transitions can be challenging, we also know from experience that they can be managed successfully with the right supports in place, thanks to those incredible staff who work within these programs. We already support many students through major transitions, including those who don't enter school until kindergarten and require a specialized program. We've seen students transition to 1st grade in a new building and thrive, and we feel confident that with planning and the strong teams we have, we can continue to support students effectively through these moves. Overall, we believe that this scenario provides the most long-term flexibility. So there are key differences. So these are the key differences at a glance. The goal is to find a scenario that supports inclusion for all students, balances classrooms across buildings, and gives us the structural flexibility to meet students' needs now and long-term for our specialized programs. Thank you all again for your time and willingness to hear us out.
All right. So last night was tough, but necessary, because at the end of the day, and I truly mean this when I say this, we needed to hear from you, and we will continue to hear from you, right? And so for me personally, and again, another pinch point that was talked about was transportation, that we was hearing even before the proposal was that we currently have 2 of our elementary schools on the 3rd tier. with this proposal too, and us talking through it, all of our elementary schools, regardless of which scenario, would be on the two-tier system, which is something that we were originally hearing from our community even before this, and that'll continue. But I want to stress too, and that's why we kind of wanted to address some of the pinch points from yesterday, is that I believe in this scenario. I believe that it's a scenario that will allow us to, if things change, for us to continue to invest, in our students and our programming. But at the same time, what was really obvious yesterday is we need to really hear more from you guys to figure out how can we get this scenario more in line with the pinch points that you heard today. And so what I'm suggesting is that, and here's the human side of all of this, is that I've been here since 2009. I've advocated for our students and staff countlessly, without question, since 2009. And so in hearing what you were saying yesterday, I'm recommending to the board, that we pause this, okay? My thought is that
Stop.
my thinking is that if we pause this and you continue to give us the feedback that I think we had over 800 comments online. We had comments, obviously, from last night. We're going to have comments tonight, and we're going to continue, to get comments. But I think we really need to pause, gather all of that, and then put together a plan where we can really get it to addressing those pinch points. So if transitions is what I'm hearing is a pinch point, then we need to look at that and address that, right? And so that'll allow us more time if, the board, does that. And so I'm recommending, that we pause this and that we use December 15th board meeting to share our thoughts, and then we set something up for January 20th where we come back to the board, or sooner if we're ready, with a plan that addresses all those pinch points. And so that's my recommendation to the board. I hand it over to you, Mike. Board President Mike.
Thank you. Before we go to public comments, I would like to take the chance to turn it over to the board for either comment or to take consensus on the recommendation from the superintendent. Do we have consensus at the moment, or would you like to speak first?
Was this shared? I mean, we had internet issues. Was this shared? Did we get that worked out? Did any of this go out to the internet? Okay.
We got it live.
We
got it live.
Perfect.
we will adjust the first couple minutes, so it didn't pick up until we were kind of midway through our presentation. So it did catch the second half of the presentation, but we will make sure that we repost with the audio on top of it so that we have the full meeting posted after.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are any comments at this time? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, just we started this with the recommendation. We wanted to call out potential blind spots, and the community, as they always do, did exactly that, right? 800 comments through email, the taking time out of your day to show up here. Some of you not once, but twice, and potentially a third time, right? And I think this is the right thing to do. Review it, new information, and get the game plan, knowing it can't be an indefinite pause. Because the other thing is we got to give time to our teachers, our building, the finances are still going if we miss that date, so.
Okay. At this time,
Yeah, thank you. I do agree with the pause, though I don't think it should be a long one. As I say, we're going to do this in January, and then we should be voting on it soon after that. Just to make sure that we understand, it's still going to be a tweak of scenario 7, but we're going to try to tweak it to get, what we can get it to work with, mostly for everybody that we can, because that's what's most important. As we know, when I ran for office, I ran with communication, cooperation, and compromise. And I think there's a way that we can do this and still compromise and get some things in there that makes it work for everyone. So if they're just patient with us and let us come to our, get our goals together and come to what we need to do, that would be great. And I appreciate everyone's input, but just let us have our time to get this done over the holidays, think about it, and then do our thing in January. But
one second. Rebecca?
I agree. I just want the community to know that we do truly care about each one of you. And, you know, we go through things, but we all need to come together to try to better understand. And I know it hurts when changes come, but please just remember, we do care about you. We're trying to do the best that we can to make sure our students get the best quality education, safety, you name it. We want to make sure we keep Harlem at the top, but I appreciate everything you guys have done, you know, even your little upsets. I understand as a person, you know, a parent, grandparent, that sometimes things happen that that you can't control, but trust me, we're going to do the best we can to make sure that everything works out for everyone in this district, and I agree with Dr. Yarbrough.
All right. Hearing from what I'm hearing from the board, I'm going to ask for consensus to table this until January. Our perspective of a schedule that I've looked at would be December 15th, we have our meeting. At that time, I'm going to ask that we officially vote on a meeting for beginning of January. It should be January 5th at 5 p.m. And that will line up with the January 20th dates for any recommendations to give the community time to also look over any plans that we come forward with. Do I have you guys a consensus?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to public comment. Nicole Ellis. Am I? Hello.
Hi, I'm Nicole Ellis. First, I want to take a moment to thank you all for the difficult decisions that lie ahead of you with this proposal and your dedication to the Harlem community. I am a parent and an educator at Harlem District. I started in the district 7 years ago as a classroom facilitator at Olson Park, where one of my peers had planted the seed for me to go back to school to become an educator. Myself and a few other support staff members were able and lucky to take advantage of the grant that the district had received to become a new teacher. Fast forward to 2024, when I landed the job as a special education teacher at Harlem High School. And you might be wondering, what does this even have to do with this Scenario 7 proposal? When the three of us became teachers, we were informed that our support staff years do not count towards our seniority, which leaves us at the bottom to potentially be ripped by this proposal. Our 7 years of dedication to the district prior to this could be washed away in the blink of an eye because we are now first or second year seniority teachers. Many may think that just because I'm at the high school level that I won't be affected, but in reality, being at the bottom of the seniority list, I can be. This not only affects our families, but the students that we have spent time with also. Being a special education teacher, many of my students have social emotional needs. I've invested my time and built a report so that I can meet the social emotional needs of my students and my caseload. These students need my consistency and stability for which I have provided for them the last 2 years. That all could be taken away from them with the Scenario 7 because of my seniority. So I do have a couple of questions for you. One, why do my years of support service prior to teaching not count towards my seniority? I feel like my dedication should be accredited for something. Two, why does it seem that cutting staff from the bottom that directly work with the students is necessary when other positions at the top or at Harlem Administration Center could be altered? And in the proposal presentation, Harlem Administration stated that early childhood is the foundation of education at Harlem. If we are eliminating 260 EC students, what do the statistics look like for special education services in the next 5 to 10 years without being proactive? And finally, my last question is, if I were to receive a RIF letter, how is that received? Is it received in person? Because I would hate to have to stand in front of my students day after receiving that letter. Thank you.
Please, no applause after everyone, just so everybody can feel comfortable to come up. Thank you. Alexander Coletta.
My name is Alexander Coletta, and I come tonight as a blue-collar father of 4 and a husband of a minimum wage, part-time support staff member of the Harlem District. I know and understand all too well the need to cut budgets, and I'm sure every American household does. The problem lies in the way this board is proposing we do it. See, when my household needs to cut our budget, we can't just say we'll take care of the kids next year when we find more money, as this board is proposing with these scenarios. As stated yesterday, y'all are doing these meetings as required by law, but what y'all are taking as a formality for the life-altering decision for thousands of families within this district, us parents are taking as a call to action. Something you all should have done years ago when this deficit was first identified. When my family has a budget deficit, I can't tell my neighbor it's their problem that I created. But yet your proposal is to do just that. Have the families that make this district what it is bail out the poor decisions and inept management of district funds. There has been zero mention of a hiring freeze, wage freeze, top-level salary cuts, or any other cost-saving measures that all businesses have to go through from time to time. Now, I know this could all be a part of the shock and awe effect, where you give the worst-case scenario and then all look like heroes when you settle on a less drastic measure. The statement yesterday of we have $3.1 million deficit, but we are not broke, we got money, doesn't make sense. When I have a deficit, I'm broke. On to the ALP program that y'all see as an apparent unnecessary cost. As a father of 2 ALP students and one well on his way, this couldn't be farther from the truth. Not only does this program encourage and motivate these students to learn, but pushes them outside of their comfort zone, and that is where true breakthroughs happen. Maybe this board needs to be taken out of their own comfort zone to see a real breakthrough happen. The decision to shut down schools, dismantle family routines, constantly force change for our youth, and strip the foundation this community was built on is going to promote a healthier and more successful district, right? I think not. You are setting our children up for failure by selecting these proposals and not looking in the mirror to first identify where you all went wrong. Making our children suffer due to your inability to lead through the deficit and not just in the surplus is sickening. I hope you do your job, do get the job you're applying for to open the path for a true leader, one who will set our children up for success and not treat them as a line item on their P&L statement. Thank you.
No clapping. Thank you. We can close it down. Seriously. Landon Heddix. No idea.
Okay. Hi, my name is Landon. And I think you should not shut down Olson Park because there are nice teachers there, and I visit my old teachers like my first grade teacher. I don't want to move schools. Thank you for your time.
Janine Messner.
Good evening. My name is Janine Messner. I've been a teacher in the Harlem School District for 23 years, 22 of which I've been at Ralston Elementary School. I'm also a proud Harlem graduate, and I attended Ralston as a student from kindergarten through 6th grade. Last week, a group of Ralston educators sent a letter to all board members sharing our concerns with Scenario 7, and I would like to highlight a few of those concerns tonight. Abandoning the neighborhood model will create many new challenges, especially for those with the greatest academic and social emotional needs. With transitions every 2 years, it will be much more difficult to identify students needing additional support when there is not a continuum of service at one location. Every transition presents the challenge of effective communication between staff of both schools and an increased risk of some students slipping through the cracks. We also know students need to feel safe and supported before they will achieve academic success. For our students who have experienced trauma, it can take a long time to feel safe and connected and trust the adults who are in place to support them. Transitions every 2 years will only magnify those challenges. When families face fewer transportation barriers, students are less likely to experience chronic absenteeism. Scenario 7 groups schools together that are the farthest distance apart and will provide new challenges for many families, especially those who lack reliable personal transportation. The distance between Ralston and Loves Park Elementary School is 4.6 miles. This is not similar to the current transition for students between Marquette and McChesney, as Scenario 7 claims. Many families will miss out on important events like back-to-school night, parent conferences, or IEP meetings because they have no way to get to a school that is a great distance from their home. This is not creating a more equitable educational environment, but rather putting more barriers in place for our most at-risk students and families. We believe students take pride in their school because it truly is their school. It's the school they pass daily, the school their siblings and neighbors attend, and the school they're excited to visit years later. This connection fosters a sense of community and pride that will sustain long after they leave. We urge the board to recognize that neighborhood elementary schools are more than just buildings. They are anchors within this community. And that is a benefit that Roscoe and Rockton schools cannot offer. Scenario 2 allows the district to address its financial challenges while also maintaining consistency for students and families throughout the district, making it easier for everyone to reach their unlimited potential. Thank you.
Cassandra Thunberg.
Yesterday I came here as a parent. Today I'm here as an educator. I'm a special ed para at Maple for preschool. When I got hired on as a para, I told them I did not want preschool. Well, that was the only position that was there. So I told my principal, I'll give it a try. Ever since then, I begged them every time not to move me. Being an EC has changed me as a person for the better. My heart is bigger, and it has made me a better mom with more patience. If what I am hearing is true, that a big part of keeping our job is seniority, I lose my job. Since you guys are going to take it from 360 students down to 80. Now to move on to what it will impact the kids. #mybabies. I can't take credit for everything I'm about to say because it truly takes a team. But the couple kids I help with in a gen ed classroom, I have had since last year. I have seen so much growth in them. I am not just speaking academically, I'm also speaking emotionally, socially, and learning the appropriate behaviors. Without preschool for these kids to just learn those 3 things, I would be concerned for them starting kindergarten. They would have a hard time paying attention and processing just the academic side of things when they're still trying to figure out their own emotions and the feelings that they're feeling and the appropriate expectation behavior-wise for school. Yes, kindergarten can teach them that too. I am not taking anything away from kindergarten educators. I am just trying to say a house can't stand without a strong foundation. EC is that strong foundation for these kids. You cutting EC drastically to me is setting our kids up for failure, and that's the opposite of what we're supposed to do as educators. EC has a massive impact on these kids. Don't take that from them. There has to be another option when it comes to EC. Thank you.
Sarah Bear.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Bear, and I am here because I deeply care about the future of our students, our teachers, and our community. I have seen and continue to see firsthand what our youngest learners need and what they stand to lose. I began my career in this district in 1998 as a Rising Stars teacher, supporting preschoolers during some of the most important developmental years of their lives. When the program was cut in 2010, I transitioned to kindergarten, where I spent 10 years welcoming children into their formal year of school. In 2022, I returned to early childhood, where I continue to educate our youngest learners. Having taught both age groups, I cannot emphasize enough the profound impact early childhood education makes. Every year, some children enter kindergarten without having experienced preschool. They are bright, eager, and full of potential, but they already begin to be behind. They begin by already being behind. They struggle with foundational skills, social emotional development, self-regulation, and the routines that school requires. It often takes months, sometimes the full school year, for them to catch up. Some rarely do. This is not because they lack the ability, it's because they lack opportunity. Early childhood is the window when a child's brain is developing most rapidly and is especially ready to absorb the skills and habits that support long-term success in their educational journey. That opportunity is exactly what we are putting at risk with these proposals. I am not speaking from theory, I'm speaking from 28 years of experience. I see every day how early learning shapes a child's entire educational path. When we invest in preschool, we are not just preparing students for kindergarten, we are strengthening our entire K-12 system. We make teachers' jobs more manageable, classrooms more equitable, and students more successful. Beyond my role as an educator, I also speak as a parent. My daughters both came through this district, beginning in early childhood, and they both graduated from this district and continue on to higher education. They want to give back, to serve the community that helped, They want to serve the community that helped them raise them. Yet, with the direction these scenarios are taking us, those opportunities may no longer exist here at home. We risk losing not only early childhood education programs, but future educators, my youngest daughter included, who wants to contribute to this district's legacy. Our students, faculty, and community deserve more than the limitations these scenarios impose. Future generations, both learners and educators, deserve better. Now more than ever, we should be investing in education, not reducing it. I urge you to reconsider these scenarios and take the time to visit the educators in the classrooms that will be directly affected so you can fully understand what that stands to be lost.
Thank you. Piper Campbell.
Good evening. My name is Piper Campbell. I'm 15 years old and a current sophomore at Harlem High School. I know I'm young, but I'm grown enough to know what is going on in my community. I'm here tonight to ask the board to vote no to Scenario 7. I was born and raised in this district. I went to kindergarten at Parker Center, and I went to Maple Elementary for 1st through 6th grade. I was in 4th grade when the COVID pandemic happened. I was 9 years old. I know I wouldn't be the same person I am now if it wasn't for the teachers at Maple. My 4th grade teacher was Miss Worley. I remember during COVID when a bunch of kids were scared or confused about what was going on and why we couldn't go to school, she made a little photo challenge for us. We were to take a picture in nature with a little cutout of her and send it to her. It made us smile and think, we're okay. Miss Worley is the same silly person as ever. She made us feel safe because we knew her. We were connected with her. Scenario 7 will make stuff like this next to impossible because kids need time to make connections, and Scenario 7 hurts that. Miss Poole, the principal at Maple, is amazing. The teachers at Maple are amazing. I remember in 3rd grade, I got a new teacher in the middle of the year. Don't get me wrong, she was awesome, but that was absolutely heartbreaking for me. Imagine this impact Scenario 7 will have on a 1st grader. Ever since I was a kid, I've wanted, and I mean really wanted, to walk down my elementary school hallways for the senior walk, say goodbye to my former teachers, and have one last trip with my friends before we all go to different colleges. I'm asking the board to find another way. I've heard other solutions. I'm asking you, pick those. I know what a deficit is. I understand this choice is difficult. I'm asking you to listen to the kids you say you care about. Ask the kids who go to your schools. We don't want this. Listen to your students. I have a question for the board. Do you have the strength to go to your schools and tell the kids what's going on, to tell us what is happening and how drastically their lives will be changed? Thank you.
Don Campbell.
My name is Don Campbell. I did not attend any schools in the Harlem district, but instead grew up in California. I have a unique perspective of what the Harlem community looks like. The school we went to was just the local one in the neighborhood. There was no community pride. There was no alumni going to games, concerts, or various events. Harlem is different. You see the difference in clothing, local restaurants and stores, and events at all the Harlem schools. We are Parker Center, we are Rock Cut, we are Loves Park, we are McChesney, we are Olson Park, we are Ralston, we are Marquette, we are Windsor, we are Maple, we are the middle school, we are the high school, we are Harlem. I may not have grown up in this community, but I am Harlem. I take pride in saying that. My wife grew up in the Harlem community. I have one daughter that graduated from Harlem and another that's currently a sophomore. My oldest daughter is on the spectrum and had a hard time in school. In 5th grade, because of bullying, we were able to switch schools to McChesney. She does not do well with change, but the principal there guided us through it. 2 years later, she went to the middle school, more change. We were fortunate that the principal from the McChesney became the principal at the middle school at the same time and helped guide us through it. 2 more years later, now at the high school, again, fortunate enough to have that same principal now become the principal at the high school, guiding us through it. Dr. Yarborough was that constant principal for my daughter and for my family. It is consistency that all our children need. For the vast majority of the students, that consistency can only be achieved in schools they trust. That takes more than just 2 years blocks at a time. It was with great pride that I just heard my youngest daughter speak up for herself and all the other students who feel like they have no say, no voice. They are Harlem. My daughter and I sat in this auditorium yesterday and listened. Halfway through, she leaned over and asked if she was able to speak up. I told her absolutely, but she needs to get her words down. She immediately got her phone opened the notepad app, and began writing. My daughter is a go-getter. That attitude was fostered at Maple Elementary. The principal, Miss Poole, stated many times, if other kids and other schools can do it, then so can her kids. My daughter took that to heart. She became the only student in her 6th year at Maple to learn an instrument. Maple gave her that opportunity. Even several years later, she is still a Maple Mustang and a Whirlybird. If you know, you know. Too often we get wrapped up in numbers. Too often we lose sight of the core value of what we are here for in the first place. We are here for the kids. I have a degree in sociology, and in my schooling, I remember a lot about the complicated emotional development of the human brain and relationships to each other. It is not made up of numbers. No single child should be thought of as a number. We have a monetary deficit that needs to be solved, but I fear if you vote to pass closing schools and going ahead with scenario 7, the developmental deficit our students will be burdened with will be far greater. Thank you.
Matt Johnson.
Good evening. My name is Matt Johnson. I am a Harlem alumni. I started out going to Marquette School, followed by McChesney, then the junior high, Hoffman Tech Center. You guys remember Hoffman? I sure do. It was a pivotal point in my education that turned a lot of things around for me. That would lead up to, after graduation, eventually joining the Air Force and working on fighter jets as an aircraft mechanic. That door would likely have not opened had I not had the opportunity to go to Hoffman. It still bothers me today to not see that program intact in that building. That was an awesome opportunity back then. I would hate to see a similar situation go down now if it could be avoided. That being said, what is the root cause of this budget issue? Is there any way that line items can be moved around to make something happen? If so, please consider that. If this deficit is a result of the state not funding a grant or something that was previously promised, Have we gone through all avenues to pursue any political pressure that may get the state to uphold their commitment? Other issues with the school boundaries. The current draw out of the school boundary that would affect one of my kids that currently go to McChesney cuts right into my neighborhood, which is on the east side of 251. This creates an issue where now my child would have to be bused up to Ralston, if I understand the plan correctly, taking away his ability to walk to school safely creates an additional burden for the transportation to have to bus these kids, that many of which currently walk there now and would have to be bused up north. I don't understand why that indent happens the way that it does, but if that could be reconsidered, that would also be awesome. As far as early ed goes, I understand, is that grant funded? That being the case, is there the opportunity, if there's an option, that a tuition-based program could be stood up to where families would still have an opportunity to send their kids for education and teachers would not lose out on their job? So that is my suggestion. Thank you for your time.
Katie Fowler.
Hello, my name is Katie Fowler, and I am a teacher in the EC program. The current proposal cuts the early childhood program by 80%, a program that, mind you, has received state recognition over the last few years for our excellence in supporting and teaching our students. We would be going from 360 seats to just 80. Just realistically speaking, those 80 seats would be filled by students with IEPs. This does not account for students with profound risk factors that will no longer be served by this program. Risk factors such as high poverty, homelessness, families who have been through trauma, our students in foster care, the list goes on. Risk factors that we know through countless stats cause disproportionate gaps in all developmental areas. But these students are more than a data point. These are real at-risk students that would no longer have the opportunities to overcome these risk factors and be set up for success. After hearing this proposed scenario, I couldn't help but look around my classroom at students who should be returning next year, but will no longer get this opportunity if this proposal gets accepted. At-risk students who will no longer get the ability to develop their social emotional competencies to take on the ever-increasing demands of kindergarten. Multilingual students who will no longer get the opportunities to develop their language across multiple languages at an earlier age. Families who will now have to explain to their child why they are no longer deserving of receiving an early education. Children that will question why they no longer get to see their friends, teachers, and for so many of them, a school that has become their safe haven. Students who will go through the inevitable trauma of the loss of their education, relationships, and opportunities. These are not our only EC students who will lose out on invaluable opportunities. As an EC team, we have worked so hard to create a system for our self-contained students to access general education classrooms and develop skills and relationships that they might not have gotten to do otherwise. A system that has allowed for so many special ed students to move into general education settings full-time. With 80 seats, this will no longer be a feasible opportunity. When considering this vote, please consider the countless children you are taking educational opportunities, friendships, and relationships from. Please consider the message that your vote sends, that our earliest learners do not matter. Please prioritize our littlest learners' education and well-being. Thank you.
Jessica Blunt.
Hi. I want to give you my perspective. I have a first grader at Maple who has an IEP, and we came to Parker Center last year in January after a traumatic experience with Rockford schools, and we moved into the district here. His kindergarten that he got, he did not have preschool, and he struggled. And so we went to first grade at Maple, and it took him a whole trimester just to start beginning to thrive. He's just now starting to really absorb what's going on around him instead of the other issues that he works through. And if he's got to move 2 more times, that is a whole year of lost instructional time. And he's not the only kid with situations like my son. And For them, that relationship is so hard, and him having undergone the trauma at Rockford Schools, he does not trust new teachers, new staff members very easily. Mrs. Poole and the social workers, psychologists, and special ed teachers at Maple are just amazing. They have brought out a new side of my son that I didn't know he was capable of, and to see him starting to thrive and then to have to disrupt all of that again next year breaks my heart for him, because he deserves that consistency in his education. He doesn't make friends easy, and under the new maps, the one friend he has made, they will be separated. And again, I know he's not the only kid in the district who's gonna face similar trials. I do have 2 questions that I would like to ask the board. I understand Olson Park is a security issue with the no doorways, but why is Maple in every single of the scenarios? What is wrong with Maple? I just can't understand or figure that out, because the staff there are outstanding. The building, while it is old, it serves the children well. And again, I don't know what else is going on, and I would love to hear why Maple in every scenario. I have a bachelor's in art and an MAT from Rockford University, and I am a big proponent of art integration, and I have heard that if these new schools go in, that music and art may be reduced to CART-based education, and that, in my mind, is simply unacceptable. Art integration helps students learn on levels that you can't do with traditional education, and by taking away an art classroom or a music classroom, that experience is not gonna help them. I'm sorry. But thank you for your time.
You're right.
Hello, my name is Patty Riddle. I was here last night and listened to many valid concerns about Scenario 7. I thought I would give another perspective as to how Scenario 7 would decimate all of our elementary school buildings, not just the 2 that would be closing. I am a classroom facilitator at Ralston Elementary School. I worked there for 17 years. Even before I had children, Ralston School has been a part of my life, as I attended school events with my neighbor who had her children going there. In the year 2000, my son started first grade at Ralston. I joined the PTO and became a very involved parent, and eventually ended up working at Ralston, as many other parents did also. In 2008, I was diagnosed with cancer. Coming to work in an environment that I felt safe, valued, and loved saved me in more ways than I can express. I don't work for a paycheck. $17 an hour after 17 years is evident. I work for the love of the job and the love of the children and the families who are all a part of Ralston. I work for the friendships that I have been established over the years, and for the family atmosphere that we cultivate at Ralston throughout the years. Last year, my husband was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer, and once again, the Ralston family surrounded me with care, concern, patience, kindness, and love. Being able to come to work in an environment of comfort, care, and tenderness is something that has helped my soul in unexplainable ways. Today is the 6-month anniversary of his death. Being able to come to work in August and being surrounded by everyone who knows me and cares for me is a huge gift, and I credit them for helping me move forward every day. By choosing Scenario 7, things like what I've experienced won't happen anymore. Every single elementary building will be up in upheaval, from the teachers to the support staff to the families. I know that closing 2 schools will upset many, but Scenario 7 will upset all. Thank you.
Nicole Taft.
Hi, my name's Nicole. Sorry, I'm very emotional. My son attends the SCP program at Windsor. Sorry. I know that SCP program is getting bigger, many families moving in here so their child can attend that program, and that creates challenges. Children like my son need routine and structure, and to be able to trust the adults that take care of them. A lot of the STP students could regress and not handle the transitions well. These kids are vulnerable, and I feel like there's a possibility they will slip through the cracks if this is followed through. As a parent, I work as a parent in the SCP program, so not only am I worried as a staff member, but I'm also worried as a parent. I came to the school district because I can't trust anybody to babysit Wyatt, my son, outside of school. This works where I can be home with him and not have to worry about childcare. Now I have to worry about him transitioning to 2 different schools next year and then to the middle school. He is very on routine and structure. One thing throws him off and it takes him forever to get back onto track. Not only he has come so far these 4 years at Windsor, I'm worried that he will regress the next 2 years, and I don't know what that's gonna look like when he goes to the middle school. If he goes to a different school, I'd like to know if the people that he's been familiar around in the STP for the last 4 years will be at the new school, or if he's gonna end up being with people he doesn't know in a building that he doesn't know. Thank you.
Tyler Fowler.
Hello, my name is Tyler Fowler. I'm currently the PE teacher at Rock Cut, a community member, and a husband of a wife whose professional world is getting flipped upside down. First, I want to talk about the importance of neighborhood schools and the community it builds. Neighborhood schools allow neighbors to work together to get their students to and from school. Tag teaming, pick up, and drop off, or having the responsible 5th grader walk home with the 3rd and 1st grader whose parents don't get off until 5, but their middle school sister gets dropped off by the bus just in time. It provides more solutions to families. Our PTOs and PTAs would suffer. Why join and put so much effort into an organization that my child would only benefit from for 2 years? It would create no stability for these groups and would cause schools to suffer because of it. Now, every morning during arrival, I see an older sister walking her little sister to her classroom. She helps her take her winter jacket off, get the take-home folder out of the backpack, and watches her from the doorway as she takes her seat at her desk. Those core memories that neither will ever forget. I see these types of interactions between siblings often. It grows sibling relationships. These core memories and relationships would evaporate if we decide to split into grade bands and go away from neighborhood schools. As a community member and a hopeful future parent, my wife and I bought a house this past summer in the district. One of the reasons was because of the system we have in place currently. If that goes away, I imagine we would quickly find ourselves moving to a neighboring district that has neighborhood schools still in place. I want my child to be proud of the school they went to. The only way of having that is by spending time there. Time allows for these connections to be made. These connections are what helped build this community that we see in here today. I want to touch on dismantling of the EC program as well. My wife is one of the educators in this program. The hard work those teachers put into each and every one of their kids allows this district to be successful. They are the foundation that allows everything to be built. Regardless of the outcome, it is necessary we continue with the same number of seats in the EC program, if not expand it. Lastly, I want to discuss the impact at Rock Cut. Fun fact, I was told that I cannot have anything with wheels or puts concentrated pressure on the floor in the new gym by higher-ups in the grounds department. According to a quick Google search, 15% of students who are in specialized programs like STP and life skills use wheelchairs or mobility devices? How are they able to have an equitable experience in PE when allowing them to participate would destroy the floor that is less than 2 years old? You can't. Rock Cut doesn't have the means to meet their needs. Keep those programs at the schools that already meet those needs. It's more equitable for those students, plain and simple. Also, music and art on carts is ridiculous, and having double PE classes in the same gym is also ridiculous. Thanks.
Vicky Cessna. They're not going to stop.
Hi, I'm Vicki Cessna. I'm speaking from the aspect of a concerned taxpayer, grandparent of 5 kids in this district and another one coming up in 2 years, and a part-time substitute teacher in the district. As a taxpayer, I'm questioning why we are just now hearing about this deficit and this huge deficit. Why hasn't the administration and the board communicated this to us, the public, before? This just did not just happen in the last couple of months. This has been years in the making. Why did you wait? Why has this elected board been doing? Shame on all of you for keeping teachers, parents, and the taxpayers in the dark. There are only a couple of scenarios presented in Dr. Yarborough's letter. There was a brief description of a couple of them, and then a more detailed description of scenario 7. Where were the other ones? And why were they not made public? None of the scenarios other than 7 had what the cost savings would be, including scenario 7 showing how long it would take. That would be an important aspect to include, and how long before this deficit made up by utilizing any of these plans. I'm going to talk about early childhood because I've seen this firsthand. There's a definite need for early childhood education, but the area with the greatest cuts. I understand that this is funded by the state, but why hasn't our board and our administrators been in the face of our legislators fighting for our children? By cutting the early childhood program, along with fantastic dedicated teachers and staff, you are now putting the burden on the kindergarten teachers to teach these children what they should have learned in early childhood. And the trickle-down effect will follow many of these children throughout their years. Has anyone on this board spent time in our early childhood classrooms and seen what is going on? I was just going into a classroom, not just a cursory walk through the hallways, but really spending time there. And then going back to the same classroom mid-year at the end of the year and see the change that these children have made. Has the board thought about the logistic nightmare of getting all these children to east-west schools, for example, busing? Have you taken into consideration that some families could have children at up to 5 different schools if they also had older children at the middle and high school? In Dr. Yarborough's letter, he states that the studies on scenario 7 are limited, but he does acknowledge that the studies do show that performance does dip following the transition to a new building. And with this proposal, a student would be transitioning to a new building every 2 years. Is this what you want for these children? Many children are already struggling with just surviving life. They cannot afford the added burden that this will put on them. How can you knowingly allow this to happen? We as a district cannot afford to let our children's test scores go any lower and risk lowering our ranking with the state, which also affects our funding. There's a brand new building at the high school. I'm not sure how this was funded, and even though it may have been paid for by funds from other sources, do you think any of the...
Thank you. Sarah Redner.
Hello, my name is Sarah Redner, and I've been working with the Harlem School District since 2008 as a general education teacher, a talent development specialist, and most recently, a teacher in the advanced learning program at Olson Park Elementary. I attended the meeting last night, and many people have echoed my concerns about the reduction of early childhood education, the social, emotional impact of multiple transitions of our youngest children, the scheduling challenges that families will face, the transportation issues, and the loss of neighborhood schools, which children, families, and teachers put strong value into. Tonight, I would like to take a moment to focus on the Advanced Learners Program. This current program encompasses grades 3rd through 5th across the district who are performing in the top 5% of the district. Under Scenario 7, the Advanced Learners Program
also known as ALP, would be phased out and replaced with honors classes in 5th grade. This is a disservice to advanced learners across the district. Waiting till 5th grade to get daily services for their unique learning needs is waiting far too long, especially when enrichment programs with MTSS are often limited to 1 to 2 days per week and are only 20 to 30 minutes long due to staffing and scheduling. When in general education classrooms, advanced learners often do not receive the appropriate challenges that they need academically to keep them engaged, motivated, and curious. After all, classroom teachers are already differentiating for students who are below grade level, and they may not have the time, resources, or training to also differentiate for advanced learners. Furthermore, these students may not get the social emotional supports that could be truly beneficial to their developmental growth, especially as some of these students are twice exceptional. Every child that comes to school deserves to learn and grow. This includes students who are already coming to school with a wealth of background knowledge, strong reading skills, a solid math foundation, and who may be performing 1 or even more grade levels above their developmental age. Some things that ALP offers these advanced learners include teachers who are endorsed to teach gifted education, enriched content, pre-testing, accelerated learning, curriculum compacting, presentation skills for events such as the Living Wax Museum and the STEAM Fair, hands-on visits from the Discovery Center, team building field trips, student-driven learning through Genius Hour. In addition to the academic engagement that ALP offers these students, the classroom community that is built within this program is exactly what many families have expressed their children have been seeking. Many children in these programs are neurodivergent, and when they get together in one classroom as a team, they understand each other, they accept each other, they establish meaningful relationships, and they support each other both academically and socially. In conclusion, please vote no for scenario 7. Phasing out ALP would be...
Thank you. Ashley Bragg.
My name is Ashley Bragg, and tonight I'm not speaking in numbers or spreadsheets. I'm speaking from the heart, because Maple Elementary is the heart of my community. And when you take Maple away, you're taking the heart out of the poorest, most fragile part of our district. Maple has always received the least funding. Everyone knows that. We don't have the long-established PTOs or the extra financial help that many other schools in this district rely on. But here's the miracle of Maple. We do the most with the least, and we do it with love and with community. We do it because our kids deserve just as much joy, just as much celebration, and just as much childhood as every other child in this district. And do you know how powerful that is? Other schools with more money, bigger PTAs, and more resources look at Maple and say, we saw what you did, and we brought that to our school too, specifically Turkey Bingo. Maple is a trendsetter. Maple is an example, and you're going to close it like it's nothing. Let me tell you what Maple really is. Maple is warm and inviting. I have heard from staff who have worked across the district. They say walking into Maple is different. It feels like home. It feels like family. It feels like people actually know who you are and care about you. You don't get that everywhere. And the beating heart of that is Mrs. Poole. She is not just a principal, she is a protector, a builder, a leader, and a positive female influence to every child in that building. She knows their names, she knows our names, and she knows their needs. She has created a space where kids feel safe enough to grow and strong enough to be held accountable. She has created stability in a community where many children do not have it anywhere else. And because Maple doesn't have a PTO, do you know who makes all the magic happen? Mrs. Poole, Mrs. Borg, the staff, our community, us. The PBIS store, they do it all. The special treats, they do it. The turkey bingo, the ham bingo, the family nights, the celebrations, the events. Everything that reminds our kids they matter, they do it on their own, on stretched budgets, with heart. And the community shows up too, because Maple raises children who need all of us. We raised $50,000 for the early childhood playground. We put time, money, and sweat into making Maple whole, and now early childhood is being moved, which lowers Maple's enrollment artificially and leaves that playground sitting unused. For what? Maple is set up for these kids. Maple is ready and equipped. So why close the one building that does the most with the least if this is a budget issue? Why close the school that other schools copy? Why close the building that gives our poorest kids the richest sense of belonging? Please understand what you're taking away. You're not removing a building. You're removing a community, a family, a safe place. A place built on love and resilience and people who refuse to give up on children who already face so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Janelle Anderson.
Hi, my name is Janelle Anderson, and I'm a parent of Maple Elementary. I want to speak today about early childhood education and the proposed changes that would drastically affect our youngest learners, including my own, in 2 years. Currently, our district offers 360 early childhood seats, and Maple Elementary also provides fully functioning classes with everything in place: credentialed teachers, licensing, classrooms, furniture, toilets, and playground. The proposal would reduce these seats to only 80, which amounts to just 2 a.m. and 2 p.m. classes. The plan is to move these programs from Maple to another school, but Maple already has all the resources in place. Moving early childhood to a new location is not only disruptive to children and families, it also raises serious questions about cost effectiveness, which, especially when the district claims there is no money to spare. Early childhood education is critical for setting children up for success. It should not be treated as a number to shuffle around. Maple already meets all the requirements to provide this program effectively. The best option is to keep early childhood at Maple, where children have stability, support, and a strong start to their education. Thank you.
Free Flourish.
Hi, my name is Tori Lorish. I am a mom of 4 in the district, a substitute teacher in the district, and I'm also currently going to school to get my teaching license with the hopes of working in the district. Both my husband and I are very involved in the schools our kids attend and active members of the PTO. I know you have heard about the burdens it will place on families like mine who have multiple children, so I will only briefly touch on that aspect, but it is important. Next year, I will have children in 6th, 5th, 2nd, and kindergarten. Under Scenario 7, they would attend 4 different schools. Logistically, this is impossible for our family. It is also a major safety concern for my husband and I. My husband leaves for work early, I will be in student teaching, and we have no family support. Even basic things like literacy nights, family events, and parent-teacher conferences would become extremely difficult to manage. Transportation alone is a major stressor. Right now, 3 of our children attend Ralston, and 1 attends Parker Center. Under Scenario 7, my oldest would move to the middle school, which is expected. My 5th grader would stay at Ralston. My 2nd grader would be moved to Loves Park, taken away from her brother, away from staff she already knows, and nearly 5 miles from home. And my kindergartner would stay at Parker Center. Many families like mine do not have help from relatives because many grandparents still work full-time. Our neighborhood is mostly middle and high school students, and my 5th grader would be considered a walker. My husband and I do not feel comfortable with our 9-year-old walking alone. We have never used busing and do not plan to. But even if we were forced to, someone still has to get our kindergarten and 2nd grade children safely to a bus stop. It is unrealistic to expect them to manage that on their own when no adult can be home. Parent-teacher conferences also become challenging with multiple schools. Right now, with 3 kids at Ralston, teachers coordinate so conferences are scheduled close together. Doing this across 4 schools would be very difficult. The same applies to family nights and events meant to build community. Splitting our family between different schools undermines the very purpose of those events. With that being said, in my experience as a parent and a substitute teacher, I have been astonished at the connections teachers make and sustain over the years. Teachers make such an impact with the relationships they build. Students love to enter in the morning and say hi to their previous teachers. Younger kids start forming those connections from the moment they enter as 1st graders. They are overjoyed at the smiles and waves Big Kid teachers offer them, and they can't wait for the day they get to be in some of those classrooms. The idea of grade level banding would mean our children miss opportunities to make early connections. They miss chances to show their second grade teachers something they are proud of or have accomplished in fourth grade. The opposition to Scenario 7 isn't just about my school, it's about the fact that our children see these schools as their schools, their homes away from us. Some spend more time with their teachers than their parents throughout the day. These teachers and staff members are their cheerleaders day in and day out, the people who help them not only learn, but develop into the people they are turning into. This proposal is not what is best for our schools or children. I urge the board to consider a proposal that will keep the neighborhood school model intact. Thank you.
Katie Arensdorf.
Good evening. I'm Katie, and I'm a mother of 4 in the district. I wanted to start with the enrollment numbers you keep referencing. You're using 2007, nearly 20 years ago, as your comparison. Why? That was a peak year, and it paints a false picture of today's reality. And early education students are not included in these counts, and those children will eventually fill the K-5 seats. Over 300 students, yet they're being ignored. We moved 6th grade to the middle school because elementary schools are overcrowded. Rock Cut had a major renovation for this reason, and now the middle school is overcrowded again. Class sizes 30 plus, hallways packed, bullying widespread, and parents are shut out. So which is it, overcrowded or low enrollment? These statements contradict. And the need for early childhood has skyrocketed. Their families are being pushed away, yet EC is the first on the chopping block. You say busing costs are a concern, but this proposal creates more chaos. 3 to 4 buses at one stop going to multiple schools. That's not efficiency, that's disorder. This isn't a money problem, it's a spending problem, and it's been placed on the backs of the most vulnerable, our youngest students, EC families, families with multiple children, and children who receive services. Let me give you a real life example. Next year, I will have a 1st, 3rd, and 5th grader. Under this proposal, they would all attend different schools. My oldest was a part of the first class at the 6th grade moved to the middle school because of the overcrowding. She went to Maple throughout her entire primary school, and my younger children are looking forward to following suit. My kindergartner is excited to have Miss Core at Maple like all her siblings before her. Teachers are looking forward to seeing the students return, and yet under this proposal, I would be lining 4 children up at a bus stop and sending them in 4 different directions, 4 different drop-offs, 4 pickups, 4 back-to-school nights, 4 fundraisers. This is chaos. And while I am self-employed and can make these accommodations, many cannot. And what about the investments already made at Maple and Rock Cut? That's what I'm most familiar with is Maple, but I know that Olson has also made major renovations on playgrounds and years of parent fundraising that cannot simply be erased. We're just going to waste these investments. It seems like more spending yet again. My husband and I are the only village our children have. They have no extended family. We have no grandparents, uncles, cousins, or sisters. Their community is their teachers and their support systems. Their friends are their community, and this cannot be replaced by a spreadsheet. And there's more questions than there have been answers. Is it true that there's a board member whose role is to monitor the staff's social media accounts to ensure compliance? What's the cost in that? Is the district new of this deficit in 2018? Why are salary increases and new administration positions still being approved? If the superintendent is actively seeking employment elsewhere, why are we making these changes now? This conversation should be tabled until we have stable leadership. You cannot create this level of chaos and wash your hands of us. There are too many unanswered questions, too many contradictions, and too little consideration for families. Scenario 2 suggests that turning Parker Center into EC through 5, but it's designed for 3 to 5-year-olds. Why is Maple on the chopping block? Why is there no other alternative that's proposing just bringing kindergarten back to their neighborhood schools while keeping EC at Parker Center, reducing the busing? This plan looks neat on paper, but it does not work in real life. This is not about enrollment. It's about money. It's about spending, leadership, decisions, and the burden.
Amanda Gazinski.
Hi there. I'm here tonight simply as a parent to 2 Parker pups, sometimes a little feral. One is in preschool and the other is in kindergarten. And I wanted to start by acknowledging something. Many of us understand that enrollment is changing and that closing a school or 2 may be necessary. While that's never easy, families seem prepared for that reality. The concern that is really keeping us up at night is the grade banding model and the significant reduction to the preschool access. Grade banding would mean that children switch schools every 2 years. For my youngest daughter, that adds up to 7 school transitions, 7 times starting over, 7 times losing a community and a routine. Stability matters, relationships matter, belonging matters. Grade banding creates constant disruptions at ages when kids need consistency the most. And equally concerning is the proposed reduction in preschool. Last year, I had 2 preschoolers in 2 different programs at 2 different times in 2 different schools. It was complicated, but the quality of our preschool teachers made every bit of that effort worthwhile. They're exceptional, some of the very best educators in our district. My daughter learned to read in preschool because her teacher built such a rich, supportive learning environment. They aren't just teaching academics, they nurture confidence and curiosity. Preschool set her up for a completely different path in kindergarten. Cutting so many preschool seats means fewer children will have access to that same strong start. It means fewer kids get ready for kindergarten, fewer early literacy foundations, and fewer families supported during this critical development in years. I'm asking the board to please reconsider both the grade banding structure and the substantial reduction in pre-K. We can make hard decisions, but I truly believe we can do it in a way that keeps children's well-being, stability, and early education at the center. Thank you.
Jessica Poole.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jessica Polhill. Before I read this, one thing I noticed, the clapping, it's not really to hurt any of your guys' feelings, but to support our community, that we're there for each other. Okay, I've been thinking about how I was going to write my speech time and time again today, about all the things I want to talk about and try to put them into 3 minutes. If I'm being honest, I was terrified coming to a new school district and putting my child with ADHD and his hard of hearing in a school. Scared he was going to fall through the cracks, and I was proven wrong. Marquette has been there every step of the way to see him succeed and help him with anything. Anything I have asked, they have put into place with him. He's doing great in school, and they know how to move him in the right direction when he needs it. He is succeeding with his hard work and their help. But when we are asking these kids between the ages of 5 to 11 to change everything they know, most districts are begging their teachers to do the bare minimum, but we have teachers right this minute going above and beyond for these kids. Coaching teams just to help, showing up to events they aren't required, but because a kid asked them to. Helping regulate them. They do all these things because they want to, not because they have to. My son goes to Marquette, and my daughter is in the early childhood program at Maple. They both talk about how they're excited to go to school every day, to see their friends and their teachers. School is a safe place for a lot of these kids. Mr. Moreland and Mr. Kohler have gone out of their way to help us and are always present. Miss Thompson, my son's first grade teacher, really took the time to help him navigate through his first grade year with his ADHD and hard of hearing. Poole is always involved with these kids and doing fun things to encourage them. Miss DeSario and Miss Christina always answer every question I've had and always keep me updated. These are just a couple I've met personally, and honestly, there are so many more. My daughter has had Miss Christina for 3 years in the early childhood program, and I tell you, my daughter did a 360. She went from not talking and only signing, shy, to knowing her letters and being social and having friends in this program. She's a big, Miss Christina is a big part of why my daughter will be ready for kindergarten, and this program helped my daughter with social skills I couldn't help with. These kids need this option. Consistency is key, and routine is key. It benefits young children. I have a lot more, but he's next.
Hunter.
Hi, my name is Hunter.
You're good. You got it? What do you want me to do? Is that okay if I read what you wrote? It's okay. Why are you trying to shut down our schools? You are taking away my friends, and that makes me sad. I love my school, my teachers, and my friends. I feel safe here. Loves Park is 15 minutes away. Sorry, what are you doing to our schools? Thank you.
Chris Cessna.
Good evening. School board members, administrators, and fellow parents, thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak tonight. My name's Christopher, and I have 3 students in the Harlem School District. 2 of them rely on IEP services and direct individualized support. Their education and their future depends on the decisions being made here. I understand that we won't receive immediate answers to every concern raised tonight. Patience is required, but with that, patience comes with one expectation, that what parents are saying does not fall on deaf ears. Many families struggle to trust this process because when school times were changed 2 years ago, parent input was not valued until after the decision was made. That history makes it hard to believe our voices are being fully considered now. So I'm here with questions that deserve direct answers. How do we reach a $3.1 million deficit? How did elected board members who are responsible for preventing situations like this allow it to get to this point? Will Scenario 7 realistically eliminate the deficit and return our district to financial stability? What safeguards are in place to ensure that we aren't back here in 2 years facing another deficit and another referendum? Is Scenario 7 meant to be permanent, or is it a short-term reaction that may create long-term problems? Most importantly, what happens to our students, especially those in IEP programs? If support is reduced, buildings closed, and class sizes increase, we have been told that Scenario 7 does not improve student outcomes. So how is it acceptable to fix a budget by weakening academics and disrupting entire schools? Before cutting teachers, support staff, and classroom resources, we need to ensure that every other option has been fully explored. Has the board evaluated administrative spending? Do we need multiple assistant superintendents earning over $100,000 each, along with administrative assistants for all of them? We have reduced administrative waste before cutting the programs and services that directly impact students. When I was a student in this district, we also were faced a serious budget crisis. At that time, every possible option was explored, not just the most disruptive ones. That same level of effort is expected now. Everyone at this table, except the superintendent, is an elected official. This community trusted you to guide the district responsibly, transparently, and with students' best interests at the center of every decision. So I ask sincerely, is it better to sacrifice academics, student support, and a long-term education outcomes, or to reduce unnecessary administrative spending? Balancing the budget should never come at the cost of our children's education. Thank you.
Heather Wade.
My name is Heather. I graduated from Harlem High School. My daughter is now a 7th grader at Harlem Middle School. She was a student at Maple Elementary School. Maple has meant so much to her and I. She still has neighbor friends who still go there. I am here to share my concerns about closing 2 neighborhood schools, Olson Park and Maple. Both of the schools are essential to the neighborhoods they are in. Families have built close relationships with these schools. Closing them will ruin that connection. I am also concerned about early child care. Early child care is important. Taking it away from the families and children who need it is just wrong. One last thing is the mismanagement of funds. You allowed overspending and started adding things to the high school that was not needed. You started increasing the salaries of administration that should never have happened. You have caused the mess we are in by being careless. And now our young children have to go through this trauma, and you have caused nothing but stress for us parents. Thank you.
Rebecca DeLuce.
Okay, I just had some follow-up questions from yesterday. So when you plan on moving everybody and all the teachers, will you be hiring additional staff just to move the amount of materials and supplies from building to building? Where will everything be going? How will the existing donations be allocated across the district, such as what our PTA in Olson Park has raised $12,000 to Eagles Landing, which is just furniture, a science room, and also $6,000 in an outdoor learning center from Home Depot, just to name a few. I work in foster care, and I know, as well as everyone in this room, how important social emotional skills and development is critical for our children. And what is your plan for social emotional readiness for this as it's coming? What money will be spent for these schools this year? Will you guys be spending money on the schools this year that you plan on closing, or what type of things will you be doing special for these kids that are leaving their schools? I know the ladies in the beginning mentioned social emotional support will be better in scenario 7 because of the extra interventionist and an extra social worker, but what about the trauma you're already causing just from moving them there in the first place? Also, I didn't grow up in Harlem as well. I moved here on purpose because I wanted a change for my children for the better, and I think that's what I found here, and I just hope that you guys don't split up the schools. Neighborhood schools are so important. I have many kids come to our house. We take them to school every day. I take them home from school every day, or they stay at our house. My daughter takes my son sometimes to his bus stop. I'm not sure how that's going to affect sales as far as home pricing. Also, yeah. I heard you say how you've successfully transitioned students. How many students have you seen struggle with transitions, though? How many are you expecting to struggle with those transitions? And I'm sorry if I heard wrong. Mrs. Johnson in the beginning said, basically just confirmed that you guys are just going to tweak scenario 7. So is it confirmed that that's what's happening? I'm just a little, I wasn't ready for that one. Is there some way you can look into, once again, just the assistant superintendents in this district? I know our neighboring districts don't have as many as we do. And also, why were the pay raises at a district level
Ingrid
happening?
Hyde, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ingrid Hyde. I'm the elementary art teacher at McChesney Elementary and department head. We've met. I appreciate your dedication to guiding our community through difficult decisions, and I commend you for recognizing that our students are more than data points. They are children with diverse needs who require supportive environments to thrive academically, emotionally, and creatively. As we consider cuts to our schools, programs, and essential resources, I want to emphasize the critical importance of preserving our magnet programs and our elementary art and music programs, especially in a world increasingly shaped by artificial intelligence. Stick with me on this, okay? Elementary art is not optional. Elementary art is not optional. It is certainly not an afterthought. It is essential. The proposed consolidation plans will deeply harm our elementary fine arts program, diminish students' opportunities for creative and critical thinking, and limit their future potential. Today's children grow up with instant answers at their fingertips. While AI can generate images, solve problems, and provide quick solutions, it cannot and will never replace the human creativity, curiosity, and imagination that begins forming in childhood. Art is one of the few spaces where students practice these irreplaceable skills. At the same time, we are seeing more students entering our schools with fewer foundational skills. They need these creative and supportive environments now more than ever. A strong arts program strengthens our entire community. Students gain confidence, resilience, collaboration skills, and the ability to communicate visually, skills that support every subject and translate into countless careers. Family engagement grows through art shows, exhibition, and school-wide creative projects that build unity and pride. Communities with vibrant arts programs are more connected, more innovative, and more supportive of their schools. But none of these benefits can happen without proper support. A healthy art program requires dedicated spaces, functioning sinks, reliable tools, safe cleanup areas, adequate storage, and room for projects to dry and develop. When we eliminate these essentials or reduce art to traveling on a cart, we limit what students can experience and achieve. Creativity cannot flourish in cramped corners, and yet this is precisely what Plan 7 would create by moving our magnet programs to Marquette. This proposal may appear manageable on paper today, but its long-term cost to our children will be significant. Condensing fine arts to just 2 grades limits our ability to scaffold skills that take years to develop. Moving all magnet programs to Marquette, a building without a working sink in the art room, without a kiln, without a stage, makes it impossible to deliver a functioning fine arts program. These are not luxuries, these are basic requirements. At last night's meeting from the board, it was stated that we should continue doing things that we know, we shouldn't continue doing things that we know are wrong simply because we have done them in the past. The same thing is true here. Yes, we have taught from carts in the past, but doing so is not our children's best interests.
Thank you. Open it up to any of the board members to make a comment.
I think we made a comment that, you know, that we heard you, that we're pausing this, we're reevaluating. I said it last night, there's no perfect way to do this, but we want to get close. And there, you know, I said it last night too for you guys that didn't. There's about 20 people that are trying to do this. And there's so many scenarios that 20 people can't think about with 8,000 teachers, students. So we hear you, and we put this on pause to reevaluate a lot of that stuff. So there obviously things need to happen, but we're reevaluating what's going to happen. So based off of these meetings. So that's what I'm saying. You're being heard. You're being heard, you're being heard, you're being heard. So, and thank you for coming.
With that, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.